What is up, fellas? Welcome to a new series that I'm doing here. It's going to be basically guides on all of the factions that are playable with Rome Total War, minus the Rebels and minus SPQR. But what better way to start off this series here than go over the Julii? There was no other choice, let's be honest. This is the first faction that I played as a kid, and just like the memories of like being the Red Romans taking over the world with an iron fist, I mean, it does not get better than that. I mean, without the Julii, there is no Rome Total War, right? There's no modern society, there's no Roman Empire. I mean, this is why this game was created, is because of this faction, right? And oh my gosh, let's just get right into it here. So basically, a structure of this video here, I'm going to assume that we'll be playing on very hard difficulty. That's just how I play, so a lot of this guide is kind of geared towards that difficulty, but that's not to say you can apply this to medium difficulty campaigns or hard difficulty campaigns, right? You can still take my advice here with these guides and apply it to whatever you're doing in your campaigns. Because I will say, the Julii is probably, with veteran players, one of the most misunderstood factions. And we can kind of get into that in a bit, but just to kind of recap, I'm going to try to make this video as brief as I can here. But basically, we're going to be going over the starting position, what we're going to be aiming for to start off with our armies, what we're building, what you want to focus on, and then we're going to be looking at longer term goals in terms of Marian reforms, what that might look like, and then we're going to go over buildings, so like which ones are cost effective and which ones aren't within the Roman Empire here, which one you should prioritize, and also the unit roster. And this kind of goes into the buildings as well, because we all know the tiers of those buildings you can build certain units with by getting city barracks or army barracks, and we kind of get into which ones are worth it, which ones aren't. And then lastly, we're going to be going over what a pre-marian army will look like and a post-marian army will look like in battle, and then look at a campaign that I did and what you could try to shoot for, you know, when you do a Julii campaign, just as like a reference point. So let's get right into it. Okay, so this is our starting position. As the Julii here, you're going to immediately see that we only have two settlements here, Arretium and Arminum, and basically we have, you know, in terms of the starting location, the south secured, right? It's owned all by our Roman allies here, and the north into the east is where we're going to want to naturally expand, because I mean, at the end of the day, that's what the Julii did, you know, in real life, right? They went over, they fought in Gaul, had heroic victories, and marched back to Rome and took over Rome, right? That's what historically happened. And it's fun to, you know, role play that, you know, and to go over, you know, with the Gauls here, take them out, come back over, do the Civil War, fight the Bruttii, fight the Scipii, take Rome. That's great. That's all well and good. But that's not why you're watching this guide here, because, as I said before, the Julii are the most misunderstood faction. And that's because we want to go ahead and take Segesta, Patavium, Medulonium, right? Secure the Italian peninsula to the north here, so we have the Alps protecting us. But then the natural kind of way to go is, you know, to take out the Gauls. That's what the Senate wants you to do. Take out Britannia, Germania, you know, Spain to the west, right? That's kind of the path that you're kind of set towards. And that's what people kind of, usually without thinking about it, say, hey, yeah, let's do that. You know, it's easy to expand that way because it's closer to where our starting settlements are. Now, the problem with that is that we're going to allow the Bruttii now to go east and expand to Greece. We're going to allow the Scipii to go south, get Sicily, and get Carthage. And these settlements are amazing. They are super rich. They're in the Mediterranean. They get ports. They have lots of population. They have, you know, wonders, you know, over here, even in Asia Minor, we have two close ones as well, three if you include Colossus. There's a lot of potential over here, and we're basically letting the Romans with the Bruttii and the Scipii get all of this land. Because we're going to be expanded over here into these dirt-poor settlements like Narbro Martius, right? They're just awful settlements. They're going to be like 400 to 800 population because the barbarians love to just spam warband for whatever fucking reason and destroy all their settlement production. Then we have to deal with that, not only annoyingly in battles, but now we get these awful cities that you can't do anything with, right? And it's just not a good strategy. And because then you get all these settlements finally, great, and then you're going back to Rome and you're fighting full stacks now of like Scipii and the Brutii, of just like legionary cohorts and Roman armored generals, and it's never fun. It might be easier, you know, early on in the campaign to go this way, right? But then you're making the middle game and the late game of your campaign super hard. And the point of this year to try to min-max this campaign and to try to get better as playing as the Julii is we're going to be bringing armies immediately south. We're going to be getting Sicily. We're going to be getting Carthage. We're going to be heading east as soon as we can and getting Greece. And the point of this is to cut off the Brutii and to cut off the Scipii, make sure they do not expand at all, right? And basically have all of this to ourselves, right? Because at the end of the day, once we secure this area of the map here, you know, we get these 3 settlements, right? Once that happens, we can just chill, right? We don't have to worry about fighting the Gauls. They're probably going to ask for peace eventually, right? Maybe they take, you know, the settlement here and then, you know, come over across the Alps this way. But like, again, you don't have to worry about it once you take these 2 settlements, right? So that allows us as the Julii to quickly get east and south to get these settlements, right? So that's going to be your ultimate goal here overall, you know, of this campaign, right? And how we do that here is I'm going to go over starting armies first off, okay? First thing I'll mention here, in this army right here, Velites, we do not have to worry about this, right? You can just come over here, disband this in Arminum, which is important. We'll get to that later. And our faction leader here in this army, they are going to go hop in the boat, not take Segesta, hop in the boat, come over here. Okay? These guys, on the other hand, they're the ones going to be taking Segesta. You're going to come over here, just chill, and we are disbanding this town watch. It is completely goddamn useless, okay? And this army right here, their goal, take Segesta, take Millennium, take Patavium. Once you take that, probably going to go east, take out, I think this is Salona, it's either Segestica or Salona, I think it's Segestica actually. Take out this, it's going to be like right here, then go over here, take out Salona, then by that time Brutii will probably already have Apollonia, and what you want to do eventually is build a port here, and then we're going to be getting the boat, and we're going to be trying to, you know, speed up the movement down this coast here, because we want to get to Greece as soon as possible. So that's what this army is going to be doing. And while this is all, you know, taking over this 3 settlements right here, in Arretium, you'll notice here that you're able to build a stadi, and you're not able to build it in this settlement. So what's going to happen is we're just going to be building Hastati in this settlement. And also something to note, in your campaigns, you know, throughout, you know, playing this faction, the Julii, set pretty much all of your tax rates to low. It's not needed. Your economy is going to be totally fine. Let your settlements grow, right? Do not worry about having enough income, because we're going to have enough income, right? We're going for really rich settlements, guys, that are going to get you a lot of money. So do not worry about the income part of it here. And you want to start off with building traders in both of these settlements here. We don't worry about the shrines right now because we don't need to worry about population growth all too much, you know, or public order, excuse me, for the most part. And just build a peasant here. Right, and we're chilling. Spam Hastati, get a boat, help out this army here so we can bring the Hastati over and get Greece as soon as possible. Now, this army, this is an interesting army. Gonna have your faction leader, right? And has an archer unit, very valuable unit, and probably the most valuable unit of this army here is Triarii. Now, this unit is fucking awesome early game because it helps you kill generals so much easier. Killing generals is very hard early game. You really can only counter it with like other generals and like phalanx, but we don't have phalanx, right? Maybe archers, but like again, that's only to like weed them down a bit, and it's very situational. But most of the time you want to do it with like your cav that you have yourself to kill generals. But this unit allows you to help kill generals with infantry. And this is a very, very helpful unit to have in sieges when we're trying to kill like the faction leader as well. This is going to go down to careless. You should have no walls, easy take, get back in the boat immediately, come back over. And Lilybaeum is an interesting battle. So something about this here to note here is that the Carthaginians have that elephant army with their fashion leader on Sicily. But most of the time I've found that with some of these campaigns, they go into the boat and they try to go back to Carthage or whatever what the hell they're doing. I don't know what they're doing, right? They're stupid. It's the AI. If that ever happens, make sure you kill that boat, right? We do not want to face elephants. So if we can avoid that, definitely try to snipe that army when they're in the boats. And so we do not have to fight elephants. We can just take Lilybaeum, no problem. Take Carthage, no problem. It makes your campaign so much easier with this army taking out these 5 settlements. Because we're going to have Carolus, Carthage, Thapsus, Lilybaeum, and Syracuse. Those are the 5 settlements we're going to be aiming for here. Once we take over these 5 settlements, we're good to go. We don't really have to do anything else. Maybe they take Lepsus Magna. You can go over, later on in the campaign. But once we take over this shit, Syracuse should be like the last one we're taking, right? You want to do Carolus, Lilybaeum, focus back to Carthage, Thapsus if you can. But you have to pay attention as well. If Scipii does besiege Syracuse, you got to do the same thing. You got to quickly get there as soon as you can. But ideally, you want to go Carolus, Lilybaeum, Carthage, maybe go to Syracuse if they're besieging it already, and then Thapsus, right? It's very easy to do, a lot easier than you think, because we want to go ahead and take Syracuse and continuing heading east here to help out this army now that should be at this time finishing up over here and heading south, right? Because we want to time it so we get both armies arriving at Greece, around the same time so they can help each other out here and fuck everything up, okay? And something to also note, in this campaign, one of your primary goals here is not only to cut off the Scipii and Bruttii, right? That's part of why we're doing this, but it's also part of why we're doing this is because we want to get to the Post-marian reforms as soon as we can. And to do that, you need an imperial palace within one of these settlements here in the Italian peninsula. Now, it's easiest, I think, as the Julii to do it in Arminum, right? Because as I said before, we're going to be spamming Hastati in this capital, right? So something you want to do here, change the capital for Arminum, okay? And make sure that when you take settlements like Syracuse, like Carthage, right? Like maybe Sparta, Corinth, that you have one general sitting in your capital, Arminum, and nowhere else, okay? Because what happens is once you take Carthage, for example, and you only have a general in Arminum as the governor, you can enslave Carthage and all of the people that get enslaved go straight to your capital, okay? We want this to be 24,000 as soon as we can so we can build that imperial palace, right? That's the goal, okay? That's what we want to do here to try to get a really quick marian reforms, because at the end of the day, not only are we trying to, take over this shit as soon as possible for pacing, but we also want to make sure that we're getting the marian reforms as soon as we can, because archer auxilian cohorts are just so ridiculously overpowered in this game, right? Not saying that like Astadi are bad, but like it's not a good unit compared to its counterpart in like early generic cohort, right? Even Auxilia for that matter, right? Auxilia are like comparable to Triarii, which is insane to say, but it's just the truth, right? So that's what I'd say, make sure you have, a general like in this spot, at all times. So when you take over settlements like Carthage, like Syracuse, like Greece over here, that we enslave it and we can put more and more people into this capital, okay? That's going to be the strategy. Build a peasant and don't build any more units here. Maybe build a boat, as I said before, to help out this army going east and south, okay? But other than that, we're chilling, okay? So that's that with the whole starting position and how you should manage the early game as the Romans here kind of transition over to Post-marian. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the buildings that the Romans can get here. First off, we're going to discuss here the shrines. Temples and pantheons, of course. Now, there's 3 different ones. Ceres, Bacchus, and Jupiter. Now, 2 of these are the same. We can get to that in a bit. Series is interesting. Now, there's only really two scenarios in which you build series here. The first one is if you just capture like a town like Salona, for example, has dog shit growth that has like 600 people in it. You build it just so it can gain some sort of population growth, so it gets to, you know, that large town as soon as possible. So it is like economically relevant, right? Because at that point you probably don't need public order from Jupiter or Bacchus, right? You just need growth. And if it's especially if it's in like the middle of the map, you know, you don't need to worry about public order ever with these types of settlements. But most of the time you're going to be wanting to build the other two. The other scenario in which you would be building series is in your capital, or minimum here. Now, it's tricky because series, I don't recommend it because it doesn't stack well in the late game. And what I mean by that is it causes problems because your squalor keeps going up with your population. That's sometimes not needed. Like, say, Carthage, for example, or Patavium. Like, never build series in these settlements. The last thing they need is population growth, right? Like, they need public order, and that's what Bacchus and Jupiter provides, not series. Because if you look here, Ostable series 20% and 2% growth. This doesn't help out public order. This does, but this does not. Where this just provides, you know, straight up 40%, which is just so much better to maintain public order in your settlements. And I would highly recommend building these two because most of the time you do not need to worry about population growth because you're already going to be putting all your settlements on low tax rate, right? You're already going to be well off financially and economically that you don't need to focus on that, but the population growth. So that's what I recommend there about series. Don't really build it in any like cities or, you know, large towns, anything like that. Focus on Bacchus and Jupiter. Now, you might have noticed these two are like literally exactly the same. The only difference is Bacchus is a happy man, so if you're an optimist, you want to party, you want to get drunk, feel free to build Bacchus in your cities. But if you're feeling like a goddamn villain, you need some law, you need to, you know, bring down your iron fist, then sure, build Jupiter. It's really up to you. I don't fucking care. The exact same pantheons. Why they did differently in terms of the, like, why they built two separate ones when they mean the exact same thing, I don't know. One of these can build Arcani, which, I mean, it's such an irrelevant unit. Don't worry about these these guys ever. But yeah, so that's the shrine doubles and pantheons. Now, these are always decent, you know, amphitheaters, coliseums, and arenas. Sure, they provide extra public order, but, you know, focus on the temples first because they provide more, of course. Now, don't ever build academies. I mean, this is the last thing you're going to be building. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about that. Now, okay. These buildings are interesting. Let's talk about farms first. Farms, it kind of have the same thing that I mentioned with series, right? Where you do not want to prioritize farms ever in settlements like Patavium or like Carthage or even like Syracuse. Really don't worry about these buildings like ever. They don't provide enough income to justify the decision. Again, it's really only building these in your large towns and towns that need some sort of boost to their population, right? And that's only if you've already built sewers or public baths, because these are the better unit or buildings, excuse me, because they provide some sort of public order, right? That's why they're better. Health bonus helps out public order and growth, so they're infinitely better than farms. So they're kind of an irrelevant building because of this. You're always going to be building things like public baths before like crop rotation, right? This is only if you really have time and nothing else to build in your settlements. Now, I'm going to group these three together. Markets, kind of like this section, the ports, and the roads. So what you want to try to prioritize here, my rule of thumb is, say you have a large town, right? And it doesn't have any road, doesn't have a port, doesn't have a market, but it does have a trader. Your order of operations here should be port first, then the market, then the tier 1 road, right? And then in the minor city, say it has roads, a port, and a market, prioritize shipwright, forum, and then paved roads, right? The roads should always be like one tier lagging behind because they are good for troop movement, but they don't provide that much income as, like, say, a shipwright or forum, right? So I prioritize these buildings before, getting the tier of the paved roads or highways, right? So that's kind of my order of operations here with these 3 buildings. Now, blacksmith and armorers do not care about this really at all, except in the late game, because really what you want to be building is like Legion barracks and army barracks versus, blacksmiths and armorers, because what good is a blacksmith and armor if you can't even build the unit that you want to build, right? So this is really an afterthought, late game type of deal, and it really doesn't help you that much. It's +1 to armor or like +1 to, attack. So it's not that good of a building. Do not prioritize this. Now, that pretty much sums up these buildings in a nutshell. Okay, something that I nearly forgot to go over here, but I guess we have to fucking go over it, is walls. Now, guys, if I ever find in your campaigns that you're building walls, I will find your IP address, I will come to your house, and I will murder you in your sleep, okay? Never build fucking walls. The only walls you should ever be building is like towns, building a wooden palisade, because you want to make sure that the enemy can't just walk up and attack right away, right? You want to make sure that they besiege it first, build battering rams so it delays them, right? But it is not worth it building wooden walls, stone walls, large. It just never build this fucking building. It is not worth it, okay? We always, in our campaigns, want to be the aggressor, right? We always want to make sure that we're giving it to the enemy and they're not giving it to us. If we kind of build walls for the sake of, I'm going to force them to attack my stone wall. No, fuck that. Build your own fucking armies, fight them in the field, and win, right? We should never be turtling and being on the defensive to try to quell enemies, right? Because then it kills our production, because all that time that they're sieging your city, you can't build anything. You can't recruit anything, right? They're worthless cities. So we want to make sure that we always have enough armies to quell any sieges that the enemy brings at us, and we only need a wooden palisade for that. Because then this delays them, and then they build battering rams, right? So that's my spiel on walls. Never fucking build them. Period. Thank you. Now we're getting to the military aspect of this. And let's go over barracks first, then we can do stables, then ranges. So barracks, infantry, town watch, of course, it's just dog shit. Never, ever recruit this unit. It is awful. It's poor morale, 3-7. If you have built this unit or have for some reason used this unit in battles, don't. Just don't. Enough said about that. Militia barracks, Astadi. It's a good unit. It's a good frontline unit. You want to be spamming this in your starting settlement, of course, to help out, with that army that's taking out the northern Italian peninsula and Greece, as I said before. Now, something to also note is that put them on a fire at will, but again, these are really just for frontline units. On very hard difficulty, they don't have good morale, right? They don't have poor morale, but it's basically poor morale. Make sure they're always with a general. Otherwise, these guys will rout instantly, okay? They need to have some sort of morale bonus to a general here to be relevant in the battle, because they need to hold the line, right? While the generals and your equities do the hard work. So they're good to just sit there, put them on a fire at will. They should never be attacking, anyone. Again, they just sit there and do nothing, okay? Use them as bait for melee units that you need to be occupied with while your generals do the hard work, okay? That's a starting nutshell. It's a really good unit, 714 with also 11 missile attack with the Pilla. It's decent, okay? Now, Legion barracks, Principes, it's literally just 2 more armor. It's not that worth it, Pre-marian, because you also have to get a city and or Legion barracks. It's just not. It's tough. It's tough. If it's already there, then awesome. If you get Carthage or Sparta and it's already a Legion barracks or a city barracks, then great. Build Principes by all means. Do it because they're better than a Astadi. But never really should you be building Legion barracks Pre-marian unless you're preparing for the Post-marian reform to happen, so you can get Legion barracks and so you can get army barracks. But you should never be building it to build Principes. Same deal with Triarii. Never build up to an army barracks just to get Triarii. By the time you get army barracks, you're going to be in Post-marian reforms, right? That's just the pace you should be trying to aim for. Urban barracks are irrelevant because you're not going to be getting urban barracks because you're going to get a huge city in Italian Peninsula before you get it in Carthage. So is what it is there. Stables now. This is a great unit. Now, you might say, well, what the hell are you talking about? It's only 612, right? Well, when you combine it with generals, this unit is really, really good. Now, alone, this unit fucking sucks and is awful, right? It cannot 1v1 generals in very hard difficulty. It's just not, it's not that type of unit, right? But it's strength in numbers. We have 108 soldiers, right? It's your typical cav unit. They have good stamina. They're fast moving. It's a good kind of unit to use with those generals chemistry wise, because now the generals can get some of the load taken off of them for those battles that you have to fight 2 or 3 generals, right, in the open field, right? Now you can help out with the equities and include them in that massive just death stack blob of the cav charge, right? And you'll find that you'll lose very little battles with equities and Roman generals mixed in with your army. You basically have an unstoppable just horde of cav just fucking up the enemy generals, and by then you won the battle, right? This is why this unit's really good. But of course, the tricky thing is you don't start off with a stables in your starting regions. So you're really only going to be building this unit if you take over a settlement that has stables. And I would recommend, if you do have that happen, spam this unit. This will help out your armies and make Pre-marian battles so much easier for you, because then it takes a lot of load off your generals, as I said, in those battles. So perfect. That's equities. War dogs, it's such a weird unit. I don't like it. I know some people do. The problem is they're not really cost effective. And what I mean by that is they take 2 turns to recruit. So basically what we're looking at here is with stables, if you have it in your settlement, you could either get 2 units of equities or 1 unit of war dog. What do you think I'm going for? You know, every time I'm taking 2 units of equities, right? That's 216 cav units versus war dogs. Like, sorry, that's just not like whatsoever a question about which one I'm choosing there. Now, it's also a weird unit because they do have that like infinite regen as long as the handlers never get touched. But they're also weird in that they really only can attack 1 unit, and they just kind of chase that unit until they're dead and then move on to another unit, which is like, it's tricky. It's very tricky because you almost never want them to only attack 1 unit for the whole battle, right? That's what's weird about this unit. I wouldn't recommend ever building war dogs simply because you can just spam equities, and that's, I think, the better counterpart when you have stables. If they were 1-turn builds, then we're talking about a different thing. But because they're 2 turns, I would not recommend this Pre-marian. And honestly, that goes for Post-marian as well. Now, cav stables, again, never build a cav stables. Pre-marian. It's a minor city building, and it gets you cav auxilia. It's Numidian cav, but for Rome. You have other options that are just better. Like equities are just the better unit because they just are able to have so much more chemistry with your Roman generals, whereas cav auxilia is just like hit and run tactic like Numidia cav, which is great if you spam it, right? But I mean, I don't like it because it takes a lot of micromanagement as well, and it's just hit and run. You got to be constantly going back and forth with this unit, and they don't even have a lot of ammo as well. So this is just really an overall bad unit to recruit or to even try to get cav stables. It's not worth it. Don't recommend it. Equities are just better, in my opinion. And of course, we get pigs. I mean, yeah, you're never getting hippodrome in Pre-marian. But yeah, and pigs are just bad. Don't build that unit. It's just memes. If you're having fun, great. But okay. Yeah, Circus Maximus, don't worry about that. We're not getting that. Ever. Practice range, Velites. This unit just is so bad, and people like this unit too. I don't understand it. Like, they don't have like any ammo. It's 7 missile attack, and it's 5-7 with their attack defense, and it's just not good at all. They just throw their goddamn Pilla, and then they just go back. That's all it is. That's all it is. And they cost 170 per turn to do that. Talk about a useless fucking unit. Just build Hastati. They do the same thing as the Velites, but they're better because they can actually hold a front line. These guys just freak the fuck out and just like retreat immediately, right? So that's what I say about Velites. Now, if you can get this unit, Pre-marian, if you capture some sort of city that has an archery range, my god, spam the fuck out of this unit. This changes the strategy of your battles, just completely, right? Now you get to lure them out of the town center, and now you just get to sit back and do nothing as the Romans archers just fuck them up. Like, it just changes the whole perspective of this battle here when you get archers in your army. You might be able to get one in Sparta. It depends what the AI wants to build. It's all RNG, but you probably won't be able to get this unit, you know, in Pre-marian, just because an archery range is tough to get by the pace we're going for with the Julii. Now, then we get into ballistas here. Don't build this unit. Don't build, and this goes for honestly any siege unit. Onagers, Scorpions, ballistas, heavy onagers, or pretty ballistas. Just don't build it. It's just, again, it's a meme. If you don't care about, you know, pacing and shit, by all means have some fun, you know, build these units. But again, the movement points in the campaign make them already not worth it, and they're just useless in siege battles. It's just not worth it. You just build a siege tower and be totally fine. It's not needed ever. But yeah, that's my spiel on, you know, Pre-marian here. So let's get into Post-marian now. Oh my god, guys, would you look at that? 270 BC, we got the Post-marian reforms. Amazing. But okay, let's get into this here. Again, barracks are going to be the exact same. Never build the town watch ever. Militia barracks, alright, we're already, you know, this unit's just better than Auxilio for the sole reason. Bonus fighting cav, 516. I don't care if they don't have a missile attack. These guys are general killers. Like, if you can build this unit with maybe like 1 or 2 of them in your armies, you know, and because you don't have things like army barracks yet, fucking do it. This unit's so cost effective. 170 upkeep. And I mean, in sieges, you just use this unit to kill generals. Like, it's such a good unit. It doesn't have poor morale. It doesn't have good morale, which is fine. Make sure the general's around, you know, with this unit, because it can, you know, route pretty quick. But again, great unit. Highly recommend it if you don't have, you know, access to legionaries right away in Post-marian reforms to build this unit. And maybe even have 1 or 2 of them in your armies, just so you can kill generals in sieges. I mean, Jesus. 9 and 17, man. Good morale, good stamina. Testudo is irrelevant because it has 7 armor already. You don't need to use Testudo. I mean, my lord, dude. The missile attack is 13. It's such a good unit. The Pilla's so deadly. Great hold the line unit. 9 and 17. Very good. But my favorite, I always make sure I always have, you know, 1 or 2 settlements when the Post-marian reforms come up, and just cheese army barracks and get archery ranges up just because of this unit, man. It's so good. I love this unit. It is the textbook Roman Legion. It's red, it's fucking glorious, and it just fucking is amazing. 9 and 22, has 12 armor. My god, dude. I mean, yes, this unit is good, but I just love the 5 extra defense that this unit has. And the main thing here, 1 turn build. My god, this should not be allowed if you can get army barracks quickly. 1 turn build, you just start spamming this unit. It's just so fucking good. It can not only hold the line, but now we're talking into the territory of, okay, not only can this unit hold the line, but if it really wants to, it can just go up against enemy infantry and fucking destroy them with very little casualties. It's just that good of a unit. You want to be, like, honestly recruiting around 8 of these in your armies. It's just good. Urban barracks, I mean, I guess we didn't talk about this unit. Orient cohort. It's 2 turns. Don't build it. It's 2 turns. By the time we get Post-marian reforms, we're going to be busting out legionary cohorts. It's the most cost-effective unit, you know, in these big cities. So again, don't bother. And again, that kind of goes for urban cohort. They look aesthetically amazing. They're really cool. But I mean, it's not worth it to build urban barracks like ever in a campaign. You build urban barracks to dick around and just be like, okay, I won the campaign, now I'm just doing this for fun. Right. Stables, Roman Cav is a good unit. This is only if you don't have a hippodrome though. If you don't have a hippodrome set up, this is a fine unit to have. 6 and 15. It's an improvement from 6 and 12 from the equities. Fast moving, so you know it's a decent unit. Ready went over war dogs. Calf stables, my fucking god, it's back. It's back. It's us. Don't build this unit, guys. Hippodrome. This is my favorite cav unit. It's a 2-turn build, but I mean, look at the difference, guys. This is when it's like, okay, this actually can justify the increase in the 2-turn build, because 6 and 15 and 8 and 22 with 12 armor, good morale, and good stamina. I mean, this basically can act as a general. It's just that good, right? 108 soldiers, and it can 1v1 a general that has 48 soldiers. Like, it's just the reality of the situation. It's such a good unit. Combine that with the general, I mean, you're not losing a battle ever, right? Pigs, I mean, if you want to have fun in your campaign, I guess. I don't fucking know, dude. It's just yeah, interesting. Look at Maximum. I mean, sure. I don't know. If you ever build a Circus Maximus for whatever reason, if you have time to do that, then go for it. But yeah, okay. Don't build this unit. It fucking sucks. And now we get to, again, this is in a minor city archery range. You get an Archer Auxilia that has long-range missiles and 8 base attack, and you get 8 of these in your army. You get 8 legionary cohorts, and mix it in with legionary cav and a general. Ooh, yeah, you're not losing a battle ever. I mean, how could you possibly lose a battle? You don't. You just sit there with your legionary cohort, and you just let Archer Auxilia fuck everything up. And you win every battle. I mean, it's, again, you're going to be going against phalanxes, sure. That's going to be the toughest battle for you. It's the, if you're playing rock, paper, scissors, you know, say the Romans are rocks, you know, phalanx is the paper, right? That's going to be the one counter to this, you know, because infantry it's tough to charge into, and obviously archers pretty ineffective against things like hoplites, right? For example. But again, that's when the generals come into play, and you kind of have to, you know, micromanage a bit more, general snipe, and kind of, you know, use your legionary cohorts as bait. You know, Archer Auxilia isn't going to be that relevant in these types of battles. But again, the point is, if these archers can bait the enemy into charging you and doing something stupid, it's worth it, even if you're going up against phalanx, right? I mean, Jesus, you can't lose a battle even if you're going up against phalanx. And of course, we're going to run over the siege units. Yeah, don't build those units. All right, well, that pretty much goes over each building there, if it's cost effective or not, and kind of the unit roster. So let's get into the battles, you know, with the pre-marian and post-marian that we're going to be doing here. Okay, so this is basically what a pre-marian army is going to be looking like, you know, towards, you know, maybe you know, 10 turns in, something like that, where we have, you know, a couple of hastati and equities recruited from those enemy cities that we have captured, right? Basically, all we're going to be doing here, I'm just mocking up, you know, some random battle, is putting these guys fire at will, and then we're just using our generals here and our cav to fuck shit up, right? We're going to be killing the cav first, and then we're going to be, from using our cav, general sniping, killing the generals, and from there on out, it's pretty easy. We're fucking up any infantry with our generals as they try to charge us, you know, and just use the hastati as bait, and we always want to make sure they're on fire at will. And, you know, from there, a pretty easy campaign from there on out. Again, when you face these types of battles too, we want to make sure we're going to be outnumbered for the most part. You know, most likely early on in the campaign, especially if we only have like 5, you know, hastati, for example, and we have the generals, no cav, right? We want to make sure that this is all set up in the sense that we are going to be defensive. They're going to be charging us most likely. Put them on a hill, have everything, just chill. Wait for them to just make a stupid move and charge us as we go over and fuck up their cav like they are now, because the enemies are going to be just doing stupid shit. There's going to be a lot of slingers, there's going to be a lot of missile shit that we can just go over and fuck up as we kill the general here in the campaign. So this is pretty much, 101 in how to, win these early battles here. It's not that hard. Use these to fuck shit up over here as the infantry get distracted about the Astati. Kill the general, of course, and then come around, general snipe this guy over here. Again, we might do some stupid shit like charging Astati, which is totally fine. If we lose a unit of Astati, so be it. We're killing this other general, right? And we're even distracting these guys over here. I mean, this is exactly how a normal Pre-marian battle should go. Alrighty, so this is what a late game battle should look like for you here, Post-marian reform. Again, this is the army comp you're going to be wanting here. A mix of generals, if you can spare them, plus any legionary cav to fill up the holes here. Just so if you have, some trouble against phalanx, these guys can help out. And general snipe can actually do the main work. Because at the end of the day, all you're going to be doing, legionary cohort in front, archer auxiliary in the back, and you just sit here and win the campaign. Nothing much to it. And voila, ladies and gents, we are in 258 BC. Now, this took me, I want to say, around 6 hours. I'm not exactly sure, but we're 12 years in, 258 BC, which is 24 turns in. So this is turn 24, guys. You can see kind of my armies right now. There's one here just patrolling, this kind of area now, just to deal with bullshit Gauls that try to go over the Alps. Just like we talked about before. They might try to do this eventually, a couple years in. And yeah, we have Carthage, Thapsus, Carlis, Libyum, Syracuse, and we also have pretty much all of Greece minus Apollonia. They're always going to get Apollonia. Can't do anything to prevent that with the Julii. We got Salona, got Segestica. And yeah, we already have this massive goddamn army of generals here. So 6 general army with 3 equities. Archers we managed to get in Sparta. We got very lucky. Has an archery range. We're already going to be going into Thrace here, getting Byzantium. Then just going north. And we also, next turn, will be getting Hyrcanassus. So we're going to be in Asia Minor, guys. 258 BC with the Julii. That's just kind of pretty much how fast you can get this campaign going here. We have completely cut off the Bruttii, right? And we have completely cut off the Scipii. We don't talk about Kydonia. That never happened. I don't know what you're talking about. But these guys will not expand. These guys will not have death stacks. And we just made our mid to late game so much easier. So much easier. And if you're also curious, Imperial Palace in Arminum in 4 turns. We're going to be getting an Imperial Palace 256 BC as the Julii. Let me know if you guys can match that pace or not. I am curious if you had a faster Pre-marian reform. This is just me fucking around. I wasn't trying my hardest. Maybe I'd go for, a campaign in the future if you guys are interested, playing as the Julii to see what pace I can get. So you guys can see the process here. But yeah, I mean, honestly, this is just a really solid campaign. The armies did exactly what they were meant to. Kind of took out Carolus, Libyum, Carthage, Thapsus, Syracuse, went right over to Greece here, took everything out over here as this army was joining them after taking out these 3 settlements and then Salona. So again, the chemistry just works out really well. You're going to be able to cut off the Bruttii pretty easily. It's easier than you think, right? And yeah, we're going to be getting an important wonder, next turn. This is Mausoleum and Hyrcanassus. I think it's one of the strongest wonders in the game. That's just my opinion. But yeah, this is the pace that you should try to be, going for. We managed to get a stables in Thapsus and a city barracks in Carthage, and we've just been spamming, obviously, Principes and Equities, respectively, and just going for Numidia, because we have nothing else to do here. We just have generals there. Fuck it, go for it. When you have this many settlements with nothing to do with, go for it. And yeah, 20 regions controlled here. Looking like a pretty good empire. It's consolidated in the middle of the map here. We have the opportunity to just expand outward now once the Post-marian reforms hit. and we are going to be looking like a easy mid to late game, continuing, over to Asia Minor, and then honestly, we're going to be hitting, Egypt, pretty soon. And what you want to kind of do here is once Post-marian happens, get those early legionaries out, get those archer auxiliaries out, and you want to prioritize Asia Minor and Egypt first before Gauls. Like, again, you're really delaying fucking up the Gauls. Like, maybe this army comes over here, fucks up these guys, maybe takes like a couple settlements, but like the death stack armies, you want to go east immediately, right? You want to deal with these settlements over here because, again, they're really rich and they're going to help you out. You want to try to recreate the Roman Empire, right? There's a reason why the Roman Empire really got like all the Mediterranean, guys. It's because it's so insanely rich, right? They're just natural expands to, really expand your economy and take out some really important factions like Egypt that are frustrating to fight. Earlier the better. So that's kind of the pace that you guys should be aiming for. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Let me know. Happy to answer any of them. But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for this guide here at the Julii. And as always, don't subscribe, and I will see you guys for the next one. Later.